This is my great grandfather's house, and this is the museum in his name. He donated his house, and I'm so happy he donated it. Otherwise, it would have been lost. Like all the property has been taken by my siblings, my aunts. Nothing left, and now it's a place of culture. I think maybe one day I will sit and talk and tell what I remember from my father and think about what happened to a man who did so much for Zionism, did so much for Zionism, who saved this place. This was a small little settlement, farming settlement, Mosheva, and he protected this little this. It was a small gathering of people who came to farm, and now it's a huge conglomeration. Um, There's no way it can be recognized. There's only very few houses with red roofs. Today I did an activity of yoga with kids in the kindergarten. It was very symbolic. We did a position in yoga called house, and then you hold your hands on top of your head like a triangle, just like these houses, these old houses. And inside is the family history and the history of the military activism, the uprising against the British mandate to become an independent Jewish state, an independent Jewish entity in the Middle East. He did so much for this country. He met the greatest people that ever walked the earth, whether it's the German chancellor, not the chancellor, the Kaiser, the leader of the German people who came here, whether it was Theodor Herzl that he had to accompany the heads of the British mandate here. So many famous people. Chaim Weizmann, all the famous leaders of the Zionist revolution. And I'm really sad that I feel somehow that I have some sort of a fire burning in me that is from this family, but I don't have any contact with anyone at all from the family, because we had so many inheritance disputes. There was so much money left, and there were orange grove orchards and property. And every generation there was another family feud where people gathered, took their part of the other sibling, and hadn't dealt fairly, me included, and I just got such a small portion. And I feel like it's so sad, and I really feel it's important people know what happened to the Shapira name, that he was a very honest person, and he had very strong values, and he knew the difference between right and wrong. He came from a long line of rabbis, and even though he wasn't a rabbi himself, and his father was the first one in the family not to have pursued a career as a rabbi, I think it's very sad that his great-grandchildren, my siblings, went into a bank and just took all the money my father left my mother. And not about the money, but just the idea that you could just take things without permission, not respect my mother's will. And I really wonder how this is going to end up, because I feel very bitter at the moment. And I'm feeling very much not willing to carry the name of Shapira anymore. I do not want to be called Shapira after what I've experienced in this family. It's not been a nice family. It hasn't divided the property correct. And this says 1905 it was built, and he says he was working for good relations with the Arabs. And there's a museum there that's, I don't know when it's open, and here was the Haganah, the Jewish underground, during the British mandate. It's an historical site. And I really don't understand what happened to this family, that I'm treated like an outcast. I'm related to Reuben Rivlin. My great-grandfather was his uncle. My great-grandfather's sister is his Ruby Rivlin's grandmother. I don't have any contact with the Rivlins, even though I am part of the family. I don't have any contact with Shapira. And my brother disconnected after I wanted to talk about regaining the part that he took. And he just refuses. He prefers to keep the money. Money is very important. It gives you a lot of power. But at the end of the day, what do you leave behind? That is the question. Some people leave behind deeds and activities that for everybody, for the good of everybody, not just to benefit oneself. And then my siblings just thought about themselves, to buy big houses, big cars, go on vacations. They don't think at all about other people. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I grew up in such a family. And I was very naive. And I think my mother was naive to have given my brother so much power. And I don't want to talk about him anymore, but he has the name Shapira, and his children are children of a thief, a person who goes into a bank and just empties all the money for my mother and father, all the money, and just take it for himself. And those children, they know, everybody knows where money comes from, and they can accuse me of being, I was accused of being greedy. I don't have a car, I've never owned a car. I've always lived in rented apartments my entire life, and now I'm being accused that I am a greedy person. All I can say is, I don't have to answer accusations. It was really hard for me to go to the cemetery by myself and see the gravestones of my parents, knowing that my brother and sister just stole everything my father and mother worked for. Everything. Contributing nothing for the benefit of others. And this is heritage of someone who did everything for other people. A person who did everything for other people. And at the end, his great-grandchildren just went into the bank and stole everything. Everything they could, feeling gratified that they could do it. Well, the feeling of gratification, of satisfaction of a thief doesn't last long, because it's never enough. The money never fulfills the big hole in their soul and the lack of ability to give other people. Peace, light, and love. I'm done.